Welcome to Build Strong Habits podcast channel. This is an audio podcast, so take your eyes off the screen, sit back, relax, and listen.
Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. This time we're tackling time management head on.
Always a relevant topic, right?
Oh, absolutely. And to really dig into it, we're going to be looking at the book Master Your Time by Thibaut Miris.
Yeah, this book is packed with practical strategies. It's not just theory.
Right, it gets down to the nitty-gritty, and I love that. We're all about actionable advice here.
Absolutely. So I guess the big question is, do we actually have enough time to master our time?
Well, that's the irony, isn't it? But seriously, this book really dives into that feeling we all have. Like there's just not enough hours in the day.
Yeah, and it starts by really reframing what productivity even means.
Oh, that's
Uh,
interesting. So it's not just about checking off a million tasks.
Not at all. It's more about how we align our energy with what truly matters.
I like that energy alignment. So it's
Yeah.
about being strategic with our efforts.
Exactly. And one of the key concepts the book introduces is this idea of a six-phase energy cycle.
Okay, six-phase energy cycle. Tell me more.
So instead of just pushing through and trying to power through everything, it's about recognizing that our energy levels naturally ebb and flow.
That makes sense. We're not robots, right?
Right. And these six phases help us work with those natural rhythms. So there's conserving energy, knowing where to use it, channeling that energy into tasks, immersing ourselves in those tasks, then recharging, and finally restarting the cycle.
Wow, that's pretty comprehensive. So
Yeah.
it's about tuning into our own energy patterns.
Exactly. And the book really emphasizes that it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Okay, so if I'm not a morning person, I'm not doomed.
Not at all. The book encourages you to customize this cycle to your own peak energy times.
That's reassuring because I've always struggled with those productivity gurus who preach about waking up at the crack of dawn.
Yeah, the whole 5 a.m. club thing.
Exactly. It just doesn't work for everyone.
Yeah.
But what about procrastination?
Oh, procrastination. The book has some really interesting insights on that.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear what it says, because we tend to think of it as laziness.
Right. But the book digs deeper and suggests that it's often rooted in fear, unclear goals, or feeling overwhelmed.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just a matter of willpower.
Definitely not. In fact, it identifies 4 key reasons why we procrastinate.
4. Okay, I'm intrigued. What are they?
So first up, unclear tasks. If we don't really understand what needs to be done or how to do it, it's natural to put it off.
Yeah, totally. It's like staring at a giant, messy project and not knowing where to even begin.
Exactly. The book suggests breaking down those tasks into smaller, more manageable steps.
Right. Chunk it down. Makes it less intimidating.
The second reason is a misunderstanding of motivation.
Okay, how do we misunderstand motivation?
We often wait for motivation to strike before we take action,
Oh, yeah.
like waiting for that burst of inspiration.
But the book argues that motivation often follows action.
So we need to just get started and the motivation will catch up.
Exactly. It's about reframing motivation as action-driven.
Interesting. So it's not about feeling motivated, it's about taking motivated action.
Yeah. The third reason is fear of failure. Ooh, that's a big one. I think we all struggle with that to some extent.
Absolutely. And it's natural to want to avoid the possibility of messing things up.
For sure. So what's the antidote to that fear?
The book encourages us to embrace imperfection.
Easier said than done, right?
It is. But the idea is that making mistakes is part of the process, and we shouldn't let that fear paralyze us.
I love that. It's
Yeah.
about giving ourselves permission to be human.
Exactly. And finally, the fourth reason for procrastination is feeling overwhelmed.
Oh, yeah. That feeling of too much to do, not enough time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When our to-do list is a mile long, it's easy to just shut down and avoid everything.
I've definitely been there. So what's the solution for overwhelm?
The book recommends strategic planning and prioritization.
So getting organized and figuring out what truly needs to be done first.
Exactly. And breaking down those overwhelming tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks.
That makes sense. It's about creating a clear roadmap instead of just feeling lost in the chaos.
Exactly. By addressing these 4 key reasons for procrastination, we can start to overcome that hurdle and make real progress.
I love that. So it's not just about powering through. It's about understanding the root causes and finding strategies to work with them.
And there's another fascinating aspect the book explores, which is how we perceive time itself.
Well, that's interesting. So
Yeah.
how does our perception of time influence our actions?
Well, The book talks about how we often misuse the past and the future as mental models for managing our time.
Oh, I can see how that could be a problem.
Yeah. Dwelling on past mistakes or anxiously anticipating the future, it can steal our focus from the present moment.
Right, it's like we're not fully present in the now because we're stuck in our heads.
Exactly. And that's where the real action happens in the present.
So how do we combat that tendency to get lost in the past or future? What does the book suggest?
It encourages us to use the past for growth, instead of letting it hold us back.
So it's not about dwelling on regrets.
Right. It's about forgiving ourselves for past mistakes, letting go of those painful memories, and extracting valuable lessons from those experiences, to build a stronger present.
It's like turning those past experiences into fuel for growth.
Exactly. And it ties in with the idea of being present and intentional with our actions. But what about long-term thinking?
Yeah. How does that fit into this whole present moment focus?
That's where it gets really interesting. The book argues that thinking long-term can actually enhance our present moment actions.
Okay, so it's not about getting lost in daydreams.
Right. It's about having a clear vision of your future goals so that your daily choices become more purposeful.
I see. So it's like having a destination in mind.
Exactly. If you know where you're going, your steps become more deliberate and meaningful.
I like that analogy. But how do we actually bridge the gap between those big dreams and our day-to-day actions?
The book emphasizes the power of consistency. Small daily actions, even if they seem insignificant on their own, can compound over time and create significant results.
It's like the snowball effect.
Exactly. It's similar to investing. Small, regular contributions can grow into a substantial amount over time.
So consistency is key. But we all know that can be a challenge.
It definitely is, especially when procrastination creeps in.
Right. So how do we combat that urge to put things off?
The book suggests using a sense of urgency as a motivator.
Urgency. Okay. So a bit of pressure can be a good thing?
In a way, yes. It's about setting clear, time-bound goals.
So like those 90-day challenges you hear about.
Exactly, by creating that sense of momentum and purpose.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. But there's one phrase I hear all the time that I'm curious to get your perspective on. It's, I don't have time. What does the book have to say about that?
That's a big one. The book really challenges that whole I don't have time mindset.
Because often it's not really about a lack of time.
Right? It's often a lack of prioritization or maybe even a fear of taking on responsibility.
Oh, that's so true. Like when we say we don't have time to exercise, but we binge watch a whole season of a show.
Exactly. It's about being honest with ourselves with how we're actually spending our time.
And making conscious choices about what we prioritize.
The book suggests reframing that thought. Instead of saying, I don't have time, try saying, I will prioritize this when.
Okay, so it's about shifting from limitations to empowerment.
Exactly. It's about taking ownership of our choices.
I love that. But let's face it, sometimes it really does feel like there just aren't enough hours in the day. So does the book offer any advice on how we can, well, multiply our time?
Actually, it does. It outlines 7 key strategies.
7 strategies. Okay, lay them on me.
The first one is seeking help.
Delegating.
Exactly. Instead of trying to do everything ourselves.
It's about recognizing that we don't have to be superheroes.
Right. We can ask for help, delegate tasks, hire a freelancer, or simply lean on our support system.
Makes sense. What's the second strategy?
Shortening the learning curve.
Okay, so finding ways to learn more efficiently.
Yeah. Investing in courses, hiring a coach, or simply utilizing online tutorials.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. The third strategy is adopting a mastery mindset.
Master mindset, so becoming an expert in something.
It's about embracing repetition, mastering the fundamentals, and being open to continuous learning and improvement.
It's about becoming a lifelong learner.
The fourth strategy is focusing on the most important tasks.
Prioritization.
Yes. Identifying the activities that will have the most significant impact and learning to say no to things that drain our energy without adding real value.
It's about cutting out the noise and focusing on what truly matters.
The fifth strategy is continuously improving existing skills and acquiring new ones.
So always striving to grow and expand our capabilities.
The sixth strategy is saving and investing wisely.
Okay, so this is about more than just finances.
Right. It's about recognizing that time is a precious resource that we can invest just like money.
So making mindful choices about how we spend our time.
Exactly. And the final strategy is using money to buy back time.
So outsourcing tasks or paying for services that free up our time?
Yes. Sometimes it makes sense to invest financially to reclaim those precious hours.
This is all fantastic advice, but we're running out of time for this segment. We'll pick this up in part 3 of this deep dive where we explore developing extraordinary focus. And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Master Your Time. I have to say this book has really shifted my perspective on how to approach, well, time.
I know what you mean. It's not just about tips and tricks, it's really about a mindset shift.
Exactly. It's about creating a life where we feel more in control, more intentional with our time.
And ultimately more fulfilled.
Yes. And it's been so insightful exploring all these different aspects of time management, from understanding our energy cycles to reframing procrastination to even multiplying our time.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack, but it's all connected.
Right. It all comes back to that idea of designing a life that aligns with our values and goals.
And using our time as a tool to achieve those things.
So before we wrap up, let's recap some of the key takeaways, just to solidify those aha moments. What really stood out to you as the most important points?
Well, I think the foundation of it all is that shift in perspective on productivity. It's not about busyness, it's about energy alignment.
Yes, that's
It-
so crucial.
Yeah.
It's about understanding our natural rhythms and working with them, not against them.
And then building on that is the idea of focus. The book really emphasizes that focus is the ultimate multiplier.
Right. When we can eliminate distractions and really hone in on what we're doing, we can accomplish so much more in less time.
And not only that, but we can actually enjoy the process more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about getting into that flow state where time seems to melt away.
And remember how the book talks about time perception? That was a big one for me.
Oh yeah, how we can get so caught up in the past or the future that we miss out on the present moment.
Exactly. It's a reminder to be more mindful, to bring ourselves back to the now.
To savor those moments and make the most of the time we have.
This has been a really insightful deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new toolkit for mastering my time.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I hope our listeners feel the same way. Before we go, I want to share one final thought from the book that really resonated with me.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's this idea that master your time isn't just about getting things done. It's about designing a life where we feel in control and truly present, using each moment to build towards what matters most.
That's beautiful. It's about creating a life that's both productive and meaningful.
Exactly. It's not just about efficiency. It's about living with intention and making every moment count.
Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Master Your Time. We hope you walk away with some valuable insights and inspiration to start mastering your own time. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep making the most of every precious moment.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Build Strong Habits.